What is up, YouTube? And this is going to be my ELDLICH MAYAKASHI deck profile. Guys, if you're enjoying these, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. So let's get into this. We're going to start off with 3 ELDLICH the Golden Lord. Great card, it's removal, does a lot of damage, has his graveyard effect. Just all in all, it's a nice card to play as 3 in this deck. He's also very, very easy to drop in the graveyard, so you're unlikely to brick with him. However, even if he's in your hand, most of the deck is spells and traps, so it does not even matter. Moving on from that, we are then going to have a MAYAKASHI package. So we are playing 1 Daki, 3 Heijun and 1 Yuki. Now the MAYAKASHI package, the real change that this adds to the deck is essentially the ability to sort of spam through all of these MAYAKASHI synchros and then abuse the reborns that ELDLICH gives you. So that's really why it's so strong. And what's even better about it is this is really a 1-card combo. So if you see either Heijun or MAYAKASHI return, you can access every single one of these synchros and then go into Yugioh at the end. Now this is actually incredible because I will go through it later, but each synchro has a nice effect when special from the graveyard, and the ELDLICH cards, as long as you have the Golden Lord on the field, they can also bring back any zombie monster from your graveyard, or at least Scarlet Sanguine can. So this is what makes the package so strong. On top of that, Yuki Musume is very good because she can dump your ELDLICH the Golden Lords. Her effect is if you control a MAYAKASHI card other than Yuki Musume while she's in your hand or graveyard, special summon her, then tutor 1 zombie from your deck to the graveyard. So this is amazing for dumping some ELDLICHs. So that just adds another layer of synergy onto the deck. Daki, the great MAYAKASHI, the graceful MAYAKASHI, this is what makes her so awesome. She can just keep coming back. So every time you synchro summon her, every time you summon an extra deck MAYAKASHI, she specials from the graveyard. So this is what facilitates those link plays. This is the only card again that I would call a true brick in the deck that you're not really happy to draw. But if you do draw her, it's not the end of the world. Just normal summon her, link her off, and then she's gonna bounce back anyway. So yeah, that is the MAYAKASHI package. And then we have Magician Souls. So I play 3 Magician Souls and 1 Mahad. So Magician Souls, obviously you've got a lot of spells, most of them like being in the grave, so it's a great card. And then Mahad, I like playing him because if you do happen to draw him, the only time he's bad is if you draw him in your opening hand. If you draw him anything after that, he's a nice beater. That's basically 5k attack if it's facing a dark monster. So it's a nice card. It's a pretty good card as a target. You can play any target though. This is just the one I happen to like. So you can play Dark Magician, you can play Cosmo Brain, you can play the female version of Palladium, you can play Exodius. I mean, you have so many options in terms of what you want to do as your Magician Soul target. You can even play without a target because this deck only really has 1 normal summon that it needs, which is Heijun, and the returns which go into Heijun. So you can even do it without a target if you really want to. It does not matter that much. But yeah, moving on to that, we play 3 MAYAKASHI Return. This is an amazing spell because you can either add a Heijun to your hand with this, or you can dump a Yuki or a Daki. So this card is a really, really good search spell for MAYAKASHIs. And I might actually just do a pure MAYAKASHI deck profile as well, because the deck is a lot stronger now, especially with their new Link 4, which I have in this deck. But yeah, moving on from that, we have 3 ELDLICH of Back Awakening. This card is lovely. Special summons a zombie from your hand or deck in defense position. So a standard ELDLICH card, it's basically going to tutor out your Golden Lord, or it's going to bring something from your hand if you need it. But the real thing that makes it amazing, the reason why I'm playing 3 is because when you banish it from the grave, you can search one of your lovely interruptions, your golden lens spells or traps. So moving on from that, 1 Upstart Goblin, of course, 3 called by, you don't want to get negated in this deck. And then I'm going to be playing 1 ELDLICH of White Destiny. We really like this card again. This is a monster reborn. However, the disadvantage of this compared to the others is that it's a little bit of a brick if you draw him and you don't have any targets, which is why I only play 1. It is another good card though, another monster reborn. 3 Caster Eldland, this card is amazing. I mean, you're going to activate it, get a draw, then you're going to send it and send something to the grave, which is going to get you another set Golden Lens spell in your end phase. So this card is amazing. I play 3 Impermanents. Again, this is a very trap heavy deck, and what I like about decks like these is, or what I like to do anyway, is I like to focus more on one aspect of the deck than the other. So here I've got Magician Souls. I want to make sure that's always valuable. So I have an Imperm that I can either use in my turn, or I can send off Magician Souls. You can play anything though. You can play Ash if you wanted to instead. You can play Perform Power Popper Up. You could play, there's a whole host of cards, but this is a really nice tech I like for the deck, some imperms. It's also very strong in this meta, so it is a great card because it ignores Cold by the Grave. Moving on from that, we have 3 Elixir of Scarlet Eldlicks of Scarlet Sanguine. They've got some very funky names. But yeah, Eldlicks of Scarlet Sanguine, another really good card. It's a monster reborn and it chooses Eldritch from the deck, nothing to say about it. I actually got rid of one of these by accident earlier on, but you're going to be playing 3 Conquistador of the Golden Land. This card is great, pops a card, nothing else to say. Guardian, we only play 1 Guardian. Guardian is probably the worst, and this is your usual target with Cursed Eldland. You usually want to send this to the graveyard and then banish it to search one of your Eldlixirs. Then Huaquero. Huaquero is hit and miss. So with Huaquero and Golden Land, they are both good cards, but only really in specific scenarios. So Huaquero is very nice when you're playing against graveyard focused decks like Salamangreat, or if they have a specific card in the graveyard they may try and resolve. So if they use something like the Jet Synchron combo, it's good as well. Or Block Dragon against Adamancipator. But all in all, it's not always amazing. So after sending Guardians, this is the next card you would want to send. The best one in the deck usually is going to be Conquistador. Golden Land Forever, similarly, is a good card. What makes it particularly nice in this deck is that you can tribute any zombie, not just your Eldritch. So you can either tribute one of your zombie traps, or you can tribute your Darkie, which is always going to bounce back. At the end of your combo, you are usually going to have a Darkie on the field, so you can just tribute her off. It's very free, and then you don't have to get rid of your Eldritch, turn off all your traps, so it is nice. So that is our main deck. Then, moving on to the extra deck, we have, to start off with, 2 Oboro Garuma, the wheeled Mayakashi. So one of the things you'll see about all the Mayakashi monsters is when they are initially summoned, they don't have an effect. However, when they are special summoned from the graveyard, they do have an effect. In addition, all of the Mayakashi synchros, you can only control 1 at a time. So that is another slight disadvantage of them. But they do this for a reason, because they are all quite good when special from the graveyard, and they don't just want you spamming them out. They could loop as well if you were to be able to just have many at a time. So that is the reason why. But we start off with Oboro, and when he is special from the graveyard, he will prevent your monsters being destroyed by battle. This effect is actually incredible, because when you combine it with the level 11, you can very easily get a level 11 Gashadokuro. That name is a wild, man. But you can very easily get him, who's unaffected by card effects and impossible to be destroyed by battle. So this card is very good. And it's not just your zombie monsters, it's not just your Mayakashi monsters, it's all of your monsters can't be destroyed by battle this turn. So this card is actually amazing. He gets summoned when the level 5 is destroyed. So the level 5 has the effect when he's special from the grave that he sends the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck to the graveyard. This is probably the worst. I'm rarely going to use this effect against most decks, but it's there. He special summons himself when the 7 is destroyed, and the 7's effect when he's special summoned is to destroy a spell or trap. Very good effect. He's also got nice stats, so he is generally going to be really good at sort of dealing with a lot of these back row decks, because he's going to be a big enough monster that a lot of them won't be able to deal with him that easily. He comes out when the level 9 is destroyed. The level 9 has, and look at the artwork on that level 9, it actually looks incredible. But yeah, the level 9 effects is to destroy a monster. What's really good about both of these is they don't target as well. So the vast majority of this deck, I think there's no Eldritch or Mayakashi card in this deck anyway that is targeting, which is really, really, really good. That gives you a huge layer of sort of versatility when you attack, when you are choosing to disrupt your opponent, because they don't know what you're going to do. You're going to activate this and they have to respond. They can't wait until you've chosen, because they can't see what you're going to target before you target it, which is really nice. So yeah, Yugioh again destroys one monster that you control. This comes up when they're level 11 and destroyed, and level 11 ironically is probably the second worst out of the synchros, but it's still really good. But when he is special from the graveyard, he's unaffected by card effects. He's also very big, 3,300. So Gashada, I'm gonna get that name right. Trust me, I'll eventually get it name right. But anyway, yeah, he's another very nice, and he special summons when one of the links is destroyed. So moving on to the link monsters, one thing as well you have to keep in mind is while you have Mayakashi monsters on the field, they all have this clause: you cannot special summon from the extra deck except Mayakashi monsters. Now this clause is good and bad. The Darky one is the only one that's slightly different. This is the bad version, which says you can't use the extra deck monsters to turn you activate her effect. However, these two instead have a slightly different, which is just you can't special summon on the field. And the reason why it's good and bad is it's good in that it doesn't matter that much. You're only going to be going into those, and that's why they pair so well with ELDLICH, because you are only going to be summoning Mayakashi monsters anyway. However, there is a slight disadvantage, and this is more of the Darky effect, that she locks you off no matter what. So you can be in a bit of an awkward position where you can't use other extra deck monsters, which is why, as you can see in my extra deck, I only have 2 other monsters that are not Mayakashis. But anyway, as we go into the links, so the first one is Yugioh. Yugioh is okay. She's not amazing. She's really just there for link climbing. What's really good about this deck is that if you can get 1 Hagen on the field, that guaranteed will get you all of these synchros, and then you'll end with 3 materials. So you'll almost be there for Yugioh. So it's a 1-card combo to get all of these and Yugioh plus a Darky. And then all you need is 1 more monster, which is quite easily because you'll have ELDLICH to go into Yugioh, which is really strong. But we start with the first Yugioh. So Yugioh, the Ice Mayakashi. While she points to Synchro, she can't be targeted for attacks. That's okay. If a Synchro monster in your possession is destroyed, then you can target a face-up monster on the field and it gets its attack halved until the end of the turn. It's an okay effect. It's not amazing. She's really just there for climbing and for supporting Gashaduro coming out. The second effect is going to be Yugioh, the Absolute Zero Mayakashi. This monster is incredible, and her materials are particularly nice, and she kind of changes the idea of the deck a bit, because what she allows is for you to do other stuff once she's on the field. So if you get Yugioh out, the first thing she does is any banished monster effect your opponent activates is negated. That is incredible. I mean, so flat out just negated. If they have a banished monster and they try and activate effect, it's negated. Simple as. Nice floodgate. The reason for this effect, funnily enough, is because obviously of the lore between this deck and the Shiranui, so I guess that's kind of why they put it in. But it just ends up being a little bit useful against a few decks. The second effect she has, which is really strong, is that if a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, or monster effect is activated in the graveyard, you can target 1 other face-up monster on the field, change its attack to 0, and if you do, negate its effects. And then you can use this effect twice per turn. Guys, this card is insane. I mean, the first thing is that it applies on any monster being special from the graveyard. So that's your opponent or you, any. So if your opponent tries to use their Spinny, it's going to get negated. If they try and use their Jaguar, it's going to get negated. If they try and use their Block Dragon, you can negate something on the field. It's really, really nice. And then not only that, it changes its attack to 0. And what's really good about this is that it changes attack to 0 first. That is the effect, and then if it can negate its effects, which means it can negate things like Nibiru tokens, because its goal is to change the attack to 0, not to negate the effects. That's just a little bit of kind of like a ruling thing, which makes this card very versatile, because it means that if you Nibiru your opponent and you happen to play Nibiru, well, they're still going to get shafted, because you're just going to change that token attack to 0 and then beat over it. And then you can use it twice per turn, which makes it very, 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 very versatile, because it means that a lot of the times your opponent are not going to realize this. This happens so many times. I'll negate one monster, my opponent doesn't know what's going on. They're like, cool, let me carry on playing, then I'll negate another. And they're like, what? It's hard once per turn. It's like, nope, it's hard twice per turn. So that's what makes Yugioh, the Absolute Zero Mayakashi, so good. She's a really good card for the deck, and we do like playing her. We only play her at 1 though, because chances are if you get on the field, you're going to win. You don't really need to play 2 of her. It's just not that important. In addition to that, she's not the main win condition. She's a nice win condition for the deck, but she's not the main win condition. Really, it's about grounding your opponent out. Then the other 2 extra deck monsters we play is 1 Pleiades and 1 Gustav. So this is really just, you get 2 ELDLICH on the field as usual. You know, you burn your opponent, and this is for using with your traps. You can bounce one of your opponent's cards back to the hand. So this is just some utility. You're not going to usually go into these. Side deck is very, very flexible as usual. I don't usually play Nibiru just because this deck does lock you into zombies, and you're almost certainly going to be using the ELDLICHs on the opponent's turns. However, on turn 1, if you're going second, if you know you're going to be going second against Emancipator or something like that, this is a good card to side in those situations. But yeah, 3 Nibiru, for example, Ash Blossom, Veiler, Lightning Storm, evenly matched. You're very flexible. Extra decks, one thing about your side decks, your side decks are very flexible, and it's really dependent on what tournament and what format you're going into. So I would not just copy my side decks. I would research, find out what tournament you're going to, find out what meta you're in, and then from there make informed decisions about what you need in your side deck and what will be best for you. But yes, let's go into some quick combos. So we have a standard hand right here. So I'm going to start off with the Cursed Eldland and use that. Now I've already got an Eldritch the Golden Orb, which is amazing. So the best thing to do in this situation is to add Guardian to my hand and then send Eldland and Guardian to the graveyard to get several sort of pluses off that later on. Eldland's going to trigger, I'm going to send another card to the graveyard. So I think the best card in this situation is probably going to be to send one of my Huarqueros to the graveyard. Then from here, I'm going to actually set my Eldlixir as well and bring Eldlich up and special summon him. So now I can bring Eldlich, special summon him, and that's going to be used later to go into my link 4. I don't even need the Magician's Souls, luckily enough, in the scenario, so I'm just going to ignore it. I'm going to banish my Eldlixir and I'm going to add a Golden Land Forever. That's going to be one of my negates. Then Mayakashi return, and this is what makes Mayakashis so strong. Just from this one card, I'm going to get amazing sort of loop of monsters. So we're going to start with Heijun, and you're just going to normal summon Heijun. And if you haven't seen this before, it's going to look ridiculous to you. I mean, the amount of times a dueling book, people are baffled. They'll see it happen once, and they'll be like, what? And then it's like, they're like, let me just read that Darkie, because they have no idea that you can just keep doing this. But yeah, you're going to just kind of go through all of your synchros. So this is the first one. What's also really good about this combo is even in a situation where you do get Nibiru, it does not even matter that much. Your opponent, if they are smart, will Nibiru at some point during this Mayakashi combo, but what you have to realize is that it really doesn't matter because you've still got your Eldritch plays, and that's the strength of Eldritch. This is why Eldritch is probably one of the best decks in the meta at the moment, and this is why this variant ends up being so powerful, because you've still got plays even if you do get interrupted. The only thing you don't like is when your Darkie gets banished or sort of removed. Now in situations like that, it's a bit weak, it's a bit difficult. However, most of the time it's not going to matter too much because again, you still got your Eldritch plays to fall back on. But now I've gone to my 11, so I'm going to go into a Yugioh one more time. I'm going to bring her back, and then I'm going to link all 4 of these into the Yugioh Absolute Zero. So at this stage now, I've got my link 4, I've got the Yugioh who can perform her negate, and then I'm going to go into my end phase, and in my end phase I'm going to get several searches from my Eldritch cards, which is nice. So what I'm going to actually do is basically search 2 Monster Reborns. That's the best scenario. So 1 Scarlet Sanguine, which is going to shoot an Eldritch from my deck, and then I'm going to search a white Eldlixir, or White Destiny, sorry. So now I have any sort of pop I want with this. I have Eldritch or Scarlet Sanguine, and I have a negate, and on top of that I also have 2 more negates from Yugioh. So you can see this is a pretty stellar board that I have made from those cards. So guys, thank you all for watching. If you're enjoying these, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you all soon. Peace.